why we need it, what services it can perform for you and how you can use it, why it's necessary to support this community, what it needs, and many other questions. As our guest to discuss it and to answer questions, we have Jim Hyatt, the librarian, and we have Jack Henshaw, a retired Presbyterian minister. First of all, Jim, give a brief history of the library, how it was founded and so forth.
Well, to give you an example of how it's grown, in 1917 approximately, 6 people came together, formed a library committee, and out of this committee, initially they had 17 books. The subscription price at that time was $3.50. It's grown from there up until 1955 when the fiscal court in its books made it a city-county entity, and now in 1992 we're at 60,000 books.
What is its name and how is it governed?
The name of it is the Mary Wood Weldon Memorial Public Library. The reason they call it the Mary Wood Weldon, Dr. Weldon gave a house to the library board with a stipulation that they name it after his mother. Later on, he gave another building, and when they renovated it, they joined the two. It's governed by a board appointed by the county judge executive. There's an administrative board which meets monthly, and then there's an annual board which comprises of 15 members which meets annually, and that board is a building board.
In essence, you have an operating board that is publicly appointed.
Right.
And handles the finances.
Right.
And then there is another board that controls the property, that is the physical property, other than the books.
Right. The operating board sets policies that are determined by what the people in the community want, and they in turn give that policy to the director, and the director in turn carries out that policy.
Who are the present members of the operating board?
The present members are Mary Wilson, who is the president, LaRonna Reynolds, who is the vice chairman, and also treasury. Then you have Margie Patton, Ruby Smith, who is secretary, and Paul Holman Jr., who is a member of the board.
How are they appointed and for what terms?
They're appointed by the judge. Their terms fluctuate. Initially a 4-year term. If a new board member came in, for example, the judge would appoint them where they would reduce it down to 2. So when the expiration came up, all board members would not leave at the same time.
Rotating membership, in other words.
Absolutely.
Why does the community need a library?
The library is the people's university.
Can you elaborate a little bit?
If you have from birth until senior citizen, all members, there's something there for that group. For example, you have story hour for the preschoolers. The schools in this community use the library. To give an example, our bookmobile serves 17 schools. Our main library, the Weldon Library, serves all schools from primary, under the new primary system as part of the Kentucky Educational Act, through high school, the local branch of Western Kentucky University. Those students use it. The senior citizens use it. We have, for example, large type books for those that have visual problems. We have talking books for those people who cannot hold a book or who are blind. We have summer reading program for our students who from primary through 6th grade. We also have story hour once a week on Tuesday at 10 o'clock for those preschool students. And then you have the bookmobile, which goes around throughout the county and makes stops at the nursing homes, at community centers, at shut-ins, and at the schools. Why they need it? It is a supplement not only to the schools, but it is a continuing, it's a people's university. People can continue to be educated.
Jack, you've been around the country a bit over the years as a minister and in different communities. From your perspective, why does a community need a library?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is because my wife likes to read. And the first thing we do is check out the local library, and she begins taking out books. So we need that. And then personally, I need to have the additional opportunity to study and have books and materials that I might need for my own professional work. And the library is a great source of information in philosophy, psychology, religion, etc. So it's a place where I immediately track out and find the resources that I need. And of course, I think that in the information age, it is increasingly important that any community that is growing have a resource such as the library to help business people, professional people, and of course the children.
You are saying then that from your observations that people coming into the community or corporations coming into the community, one of the things to look for or is looked for is a good library.
Yes. Excellent.
On a comparative basis with other communities of like size to Glasgow, how do you find the library here?
I find it very favorable compared to communities of similar size that I've been in. A good staff, good service, easy access, particularly like their periodical room, their reference room.
Now you speak of the reference room. Just generally, what all does a reference room or what all can a reference room do for you?
Well, of course, the encyclopedias. As you well know, in the law profession, you also have your journals and the like. It's a great place to get some of the latest editions, Time, Fortune magazine. I believe Mr. Hyatt would know some more of the periodicals, but those are two that I'm familiar with. And New York Times, I've seen people down there checking the want ads from different papers, so it's a very rich resource. And I'm aware that there's a place where you check out periodicals if you're doing a thesis, paper. It's a place to go and do your paperwork. Look up the indexes.
I suppose you're looking for something and you don't find it there at the reference room. Then what's next?
Well, we had a little situation like that a week ago. Went to one of the assistant librarians, asked for a book, and we hunted and we hunted, and finally she went to the head librarian, and he immediately got it for us.
Suppose it's not there. Is there any way that you can then get what you need from some other source through the local library?
Yes. I wanted a particular book that I was working on. Went down, they didn't have it. Immediately, Mr. Hyatt got on his computer, his network, called up, I believe, a Southwestern. You want to fill them in, Jim, how it works?
Basically, what you do, if you come in, this is another answer to why a community needs a library. Any book in the southeastern United States that a library has, regardless of its location, is available to the people in Glasgow. He wanted a particular book. What I did, we're a member of Kentucky Library Network, OCLC. And I go to my computer, we're online, I dial up the OCLC number, I create a search for the author and the title of the book. The screen tells me immediately what libraries in the southeastern United States by code would have this book. I go to my work form, I go to the closest library. It could be Bowling Green, it could be Dallas, Texas. Depends on where it's located at. And I feed it into my computer, eliminating the mailing time, the person at the other end on the terminal. They acknowledge that they will ship it. It's put in the mail. We've had a turnaround time now within 3 to 4 days. So that's one advantage. That also tells the people of this community, if we don't have a book and that book is in print, we can get that book.
That's my point. Now, how long can you keep it after you get it?
Most libraries, part of this network, now this is on interlibrary loan, will loan for 1 month. Taking in consideration that it'll probably take 3 to 4 days to get it, 3 to 4 days to mail it back. So we're talking approximately in hand 20 some odd days.
Any cost?
No cost to the patron unless the library charges. A library will not charge except for postage. Some of them will charge for postage. Not all of them will, but there is no charge to the patron for the borrowing of the book. Not at all.
Now let's talk a little bit about, since we're talking money, how's the library funded?
We're funded from the city, from the county, and we get state aid. From the city, this past year, our budget was approximately $40,000. From the county, Barron County, it was approximately $125,000. And from the state, which is the Department of Library and Archives, we receive approximately $24,000 to $25,000. That fluctuates depending upon money available. To give an example of that, this year, recently, on our book check that we normally get, it was cut 5% because I'm sure you've read in the paper lately where the governor, they thought there might be a shortfall, so they sent it all but 5% in the event that they would, in the event that they had to cut it. If they don't cut it, then we'll get the remainder. But it's funded from 3 sources. Now, to give you an idea of how that's funded, and this is the best example, I guess, I can give you a figure like 1.4 on personal property, or 1.49 on, excuse me, 1.49 on personal property, or 1.4 on regular real property. But the next time you get your tax, which would be lately, the next time you pay your tax bill, if it is approximately, for example, $300, if you look at the bottom of that bill, our share of your bill will be around $3, the public library. So for out of every $300 taxes that you pay in Barron County, the library gets $3 of that.
And the library board does not levy the taxes. It's levied by the fiscal court as far as the county is concerned, and the city as far the city council as far as the city is concerned. On
the county, what we do is the library board, based upon the recommendation from the state, will pass a resolution, and we cannot, due to House Bill, I believe it's 44, we have to take that into consideration. But we don't levy the tax, we vote on the tax. That in turn, after it is a board vote, it goes to the fiscal court, and the fiscal court levies the tax, just like they do for the school system.
And insofar as the city is concerned, how's that done?
The city, the commissioners, apparently, they levy their tax for
City
us.
council
Right.
levies for that.
Right.
Now, of the funding that you've been talking about, approximately break it down in so far as purchase of materials, salaries and so forth?
Okay, excuse me. Our operating, for example, this past year was approximately $65,000. Our salaries, and this includes all of our people, was approximately, I believe, $96,000. We do try to put away a little money each time in our capital outlay for the building fund.
We'll get to that a little later,
But just to give an example, $150,000 might sound, and it is, a lot of money to some people, but when you consider that that is used to pay all salaries and all operating, all bookmobile expenses, all insurance on the building, all utilities, and utilities run, example, $11,000 a year combined on total utilities. So you really have to watch your budget in order to budget enough money to last you through the year so you won't run out.
Now, as far as new books and material of that kind is concerned, how much of your budget is used on that? And then if I understand it correctly, the state also furnishes you books.
Right. Our book budget is $26,000. Out of that $26,000, about $8,000 is furnished by the state. So that allows us not only for the state to select books and send to us, but that allows us a book budget that we go through the recommended sources in the professional journals, and then of course we go through what our patrons normally read, the authors, the subject matter, and we order those for our patrons. But it's approximately, combined, it's $26,000.
Now, Jack, you're the head of an organization called the Friends of the Library. Just tell the audience what that is, what your purposes are, what you hope to accomplish, and what the public can do to help you.
Well, the Friends of the Library meet the third Monday of each month, the night that you have your program. And of course, we invite them to come to our meeting on that third Monday at 7 o'clock at the library upstairs. We attempt to have programs that are informative to the general public. We're now beginning our 1993 membership drive. We solicit membership. Membership is $3. That's basically, our purpose is to support the library, to champion its cause in the legislature and in the community, so that, and we also have an annual book sale. We wish that people who are through reading books and have good books, that they bring them to the library, and there we can sort them out. If they're usable for the library, Jim selects them out, puts them in the shelves. Otherwise, we take and sell those books and raise funds for the library. And this next month, we're going to have a program on multimedia, so that we're looking ahead to what's going to be happening in the information era. And tonight on CBS, people who watch that news would get a little bit of an idea of interactive television and what's taking place in the revolution of interactive television and computers, multiple computer information. And we hope to make a presentation to the community. And we certainly would like to have anyone who's interested in that area to come to our meeting in January. And we'll try to have timely and interesting meetings throughout the year.
Approximately how many members do you have?
We had 116 members this last year.
And when did the organization start?
The organization has been in existence for some time. It's had times when it's been dormant, and then has come back, and right now we're in kind of just a reorganizing state.
What does your organization and the library as a whole have to do, and either one of you can answer this, have to do with the literacy program that we have here in the county?
That's a function of the library.
What we do, we house the literacy homes. We let them use our resources, we, our utilities on the building. We give them space. The students use our upstairs room to tutor in, to be tutored. And there's no charge to the literacy because in order for someone to use the library, we want them to read.
Do any of your staff help teach the literacy program, or you just provide the necessary means and a place to meet?
We, 3 or 4 members of our staff are trained tutors. The relationship that we have with those students, of course, when they want a book, we treat them, like the patrons. When they first come in, they are shy. So we approach them, ask them what type reading materials do they like, and we help them find the book.
Now, insofar as young people are concerned that come to the library, is there any advisory capacity on the part of the staff of the library about what they should or shouldn't be checking out in regard to age level and so forth, or you just depend on the person that comes?
What we do, of course, we have our children's selection upstairs, but if mainly we monitor if a child can read a book and we know the child's reading interest. What we try to do is steer them to the reading level. To give an example of that, when we have summer reading, it's a good example. We require them to read so many books for a prize, and a 5th grader might come in and they'll try to pick out the easy books, the thin books, and go through them real quick so they can read those books. So we have to tell them, I'm sorry, you'll have to go up to a higher level. Otherwise, some children will try that. Any book that we have in our library, we buy those books that are recommended by the professional journals like Book List, School Library Journal, and those books on recommended reading lists for children of all ages. So we try to keep up with the books that the children or young adults read.
How much is your local library utilized by the local school systems, both the county and the city?
We thought it was utilized heavily before CARA, the Kentucky Educational Act, and this might make a nice show in the future for you. When they planned CARA, they did not take in consideration the funding of a resource center. To give you an example, when the CARA system was set up, apparently no one came forward and said, yes, we do need a resource center, as the guidelines say. But no one came forward saying, how much is this going to cost? How are we going to fund it? So consequently, the public library has taken up that lack of foresight, I guess. Every school on the primary, the new system, utilizes our system. To give an example, one teacher will check out as many as 60 to 80 books just for one unit. And that's just at one school in one primary unit. And when you consider you have in the city alone 4 elementary schools in the primary unit, and around the counties probably 8 or 9 primary units, pulling from the library and the bookmobile, it's heavily used. Because the way the concept of teaching primary now, the ungraded system, they use all resources. They might put a unit together, for example, on bears. They would use nonfiction books, magazines, fictional books, newspapers, whatever, and their resource centers just do not have the materials.
Well, now, when a unit checks out books for that specific unit, how long are they allowed to keep them?
They sign a card, the teacher signs the card, and it's usually they tell us that the unit can be taught in 1 month. So we give them a month to sign that. In the event that it lasts more than that, then they will come in and renew those.
Well, now, obviously, they're using the library and it's helping the various school systems, and that's fine, but does that also create a detriment insofar as other parts of the city or the county may be concerned?
No,
with those books out that length of time. Do you have you, I'm asking a lot of questions here at the same time, but I think you can answer them all together. Do you have a problem with two different units wanting the same books at the same time?
We anticipated that, so what I did is I went to the educational system, to the Glasgow educational system and the Barron County educational system. And I told them to send me a curriculum on what subject matter that they would teach so we wouldn't have this conflict, because there's not enough books in the school system, much less the public library. So they've been very cooperative on that. We received from the teachers the subject matter of the unit that they would teach. So we've been very lucky. We have not had any problems yet. However, we do have more than one copy of the popular books. And recently, and I'm glad to be given this opportunity, recently the 9 other libraries within our region, which is the Barron River Regional Library, we submitted a grant to Houchins. Each library would, for children's books, for primary books, each library would come up with $500, which would be $5,000 for the total 10 counties. If we could get a matching grant from Houchins, and they gave us that matching grant, so we will be able, with that $500 that we initially invested from Barron County, for example, after we negotiated with Ingram, which is in Nashville, one of the large distributors of books, the 10 counties did, and they are giving us a 45% discount on children's books. So with the $500 that we put in and the matching from Houchins of $500, that's $1,000. We will be able to buy almost $1,500 worth of books. So that's one way we're taking up that slack to get more books for the primary.
Now, do I understand you to say that insofar as the educational budget is concerned, there's no money in that budget for these books?
There is money in the educational budget, but there was not enough money for each resource center. To give an example, let's take South Green Street or let's take Happy Valley. If you have at least 2 or 3 primary groups teaching in any school, and each unit would have to have at least 40 to 50 books. There's no way, on one subject, there's no way that that school library can come up with that many books just for one unit, much less if another primary in the same school wanted to. So that was, I don't know if they did not take it in consideration. That's something, I guess, for the people in Frankfurt to iron over when they reevaluate the program. But I'm not complaining either, because our circulation has really gone up. But
well, I understand you're not complaining. Yeah. You're happy about it, but
it's good. That is another reason you asked earlier. Why do we need a public library? That is another reason we need one.
But to maintain it, it would appear to me that down the road you're going to need some additional funding from somewhere.
Yes, sir. That's why we put in, for example, we have a directors meeting once a month with all 10 counties. So one of the discussions is how will we be able to meet this? And this was one idea we came up with. We submitted it. We received word that it had been approved. So we've selected our books, and next month, the 6th of January, we're going over and order those books from Ingram, and then 3 days later, this is a Barren River Regional venture. I will be sending a couple of people from our library over to catalog those books. Someone else will send them over to make distribution. So that's one way that you can take that slack up.
Well, it would seem that the CARE program, insofar as the primaries are concerned, have certainly increased the use of the library.
Absolutely.
Which is good. Now, let's move up to the junior high. Are they using the library, and how are they encouraged to use it, if they are?
One thing we have field trips. We've had not only from the city, but from the county schools. We've had field trips. The teachers for that grade level will bring in those students. I will give them a tour of the library, take them back in our reference department, give them a quick listing on how to use our reader's guide, because they will have research papers. The teachers, especially in the Glasgow junior high, they encourage those students to use the library, and sometimes they'll call me, they'll tell me what they want them to do, and then when they come down, I will be able to help them, explain to them whatever. You have to remember that you have Western Kentucky University in Glasgow. You have Barron County High School. Now let's talk junior high at the same time, because that was your question. Then you have Glasgow. Then you have Caverna. And all of those junior highs and all of those high schools and Western Kentucky University students pull from the Weldon Memorial Library. And 9 out of 10 times, the subject matter on their research papers will be the same, regardless if it's junior high or college level. So again, that's another service that we have, but it also creates a conflict if they all pull from the same place. I'm not sure if you're aware of it or not, but Glasgow campus does not have any books to check out. They only have materials that you can use within their library.
I was going to get around to Western and the Western campus here and the local library. So if I understand you, if a student that's attending college on the campus here needs a book or some library material, they either got to get it from the local library or go to Bowling Green and get it from the library down there. Is that correct?
Right. And due to the non-traditional student, which means those students who are going to school now, they work, they have kids, and a lot of them don't have time to go over there. So consequently, they will try our library first, and a lot of times we will have those books. So it's needed in that respect, because you can go to Western, for example, and you can use their technology and you can pull up on their machines. But if you want in hand, if a professor requires that you have to have X amount of books to go through for that research paper, then you either will have to go to Western to check those out, or you come down and we try to help you with your subject matter and you check them out from us.
Does the local library receive any funding whatsoever from Western?
No.
There was a fund drive here which raised approximately $100,000, I understand, a year or so ago.
Right.
And some people got the idea that that was for a library here. Was any of that money used to help the local library or to establish a library at Western here?
Yes, the money, as I understand it, the money was used for the library on the Glasgow campus. But as I said, it's strictly for reference material. So yes, it was used. We did not. The Weldon Library did not receive any of that funding and didn't expect to, because, as I understand, it was raised strictly for Western.
But there is a small library here,
right,
on the Western campus for a Western then.
Right, Mr. Barrickman, it's a good library in that it is a research library, and I'm not knocking it down because it does not have any books as far as to check out. I'm just saying that due to its nature, that it only has those things on electronics. For example, periodicals on computers. You can look up, I think it's called InfoTrack, that you can look up subject matter up there and it comes up on computer. But that's all they have, and if you're doing a research paper and you have to have books to look through too, then you're going to have to go to Bowling Green, or it would be a lot easier to come down and check us out first.
There's nothing that you can check out on the local campus?
No, sir.
Jack, what, if you know, is available for the elderly in the local library?
Well, one of the things that definitely, they have the large print books, and this is very helpful to the elderly. They also have a good number of audio tapes that people who may have problems with sight could use on a cassette. There's also a number of excellent programs on videotape for learning, entertainment, that the elderly could use. And I should also say there are programs from time to time that the library supports that deal with senior citizens and others, and crafts and items of that nature. So it's not always books. There are some activities there that I think they have a China painting class going on. I've seen quilt classes. Right. So there are a number of activities that are available to people who have time and wish to come down. And they have an excellent library of mysteries. And all the mystery fans need to come right in and check that out. So I think that they have good service, and it's reasonably accessible. I believe that there's a ramp in the back, so that accessibility is also a big and important thing, and there's an elevator to the upper floor if you needed to go upstairs.
Could I throw something in here?
Yes, sir.
And I'm not sure if people out there are aware of this, but I really want to get this word out. Barron County has 58 talking book machines out in this county. We tried to put the brochures in the eye doctor's office. We tried to publicize this. But if you cannot see, or if you cannot hold a book, then you would be eligible, and there's no cost for this. This is funded by the national government, by Washington. Call me up at the library, 651-2824, and I will send you a brochure. You will send it in to Frankfort, Kentucky, or you can call a toll-free number that will be on that brochure. They will send you a checklist on what you like to read, whether it's mystery, suspense, Western, Bible, magazines, whatever. They then will send you a talking book at no charge. They don't even charge you to mail this book. It's an act of Congress that it's free matter for the blind. And what they will do is they will send you tapes periodically, as you request them, of books or whatever you like to listen to. And when you're through with this particular tape, you just turn the card over, and it already has the mailing address back to it. And it's free, and it'll go back to them. And this is an ongoing thing. We have these in nursing homes around Bern County, and there's no charge. It's already been funded by Congress for the blind and physically handicapped.
How many people do you have using that here?
58 now in Bern
58
County.
now.
In Bern County.
But there could be more.
There would be more. I'll give you an example, Mr. Barrickman, the good Lord forbid, but if you went out here, for example, and someone did and had a car wreck, is a good example, and you could not hold a book for any reason, you would be eligible for this. Or if you have something wrong with your eyes, then you're eligible for this. It could be temporary disability, but as long as it meets that criteria, you would be eligible. But we have so many of them out. Now I read large print now. My eyes, I have bifocals now. The next thing, my eyes will start fading probably. And they will probably graduate from that to the talking book. I might have to in the future. But my point is, it's there. It's already funded, and there is no charge. So I really wish that people would take advantage.
And excuse me, go ahead, Jack.
The machine is also available, isn't it?
The machine is sent out, and even there's even earphones that you can listen to if it would disturb someone in the next bed.
In other words, the machine is sent with the tape. And
right.
You send the tape and the machine back when you're through with it.
Right. Periodically, you send the books back. When you hear a book, then when you're through with that, you send it back. You keep the machine.
You keep the machine as long as you are using the tape and
Absolutely.
as long as you need it.
Absolutely. And we've had them out for years.
I knew that it was possible for some people to get that, but I think you have made a good point here. I don't believe the public generally is aware of that.
A lot of people are not, and all it takes is an educator, a nurse, a doctor, can sign off that that person meets that criteria, and
That's
it's
what
automatic.
That
Right. You
was
do not have
my
to
next
go.
question was how you get
Right.
qualified for that.
Right.
So a nurse or a doctor or
Educator,
educator can certify it, and that makes you eligible.
nursing home administrator, for example. Just it's that accessible to the public.
Now, Jack, suppose you were shut in and you wanted something from this library and you didn't have any family member or anybody that could come and get it. Is there some means of getting a book that you wanted or some other material from the library?
I haven't run across that, Uhel, but I would assume that it would be available through the mobile library.
Through the bookmobile?
Bookmobile.
I think that's correct.
Right.
And
However, I did have a man call one time who loved Westerns. And he could not get in, and I checked the bookmobile route, and apparently he did not live on any of the routes. So I did take those Westerns out to him. So we try to provide service. Now, we could not do that in all aspects, but if the demand was such that we really had to service an awful lot of people out there that way, then we could mail that book out to them.
well, now, we have talked primarily of books here and also of some tapes, but suppose you just recite the different materials that are available for use in the library and also for use in checking out. Besides tapes and books, there's other materials there.
Periodicals, we check out our periodicals, our magazines, as long as it's not the current issue. We check those out for 2 weeks. We have an informational file that I try to keep the most current changes in. That would supplement collection. Something that's really asked for. I've had requests like how to tie a tie, for example, several times. So rather than look it up each time, I put that in my informational file. I've had requests on, I guess there was one request that we had a time finding but it was a Christmas story, and you told it with an apple, and it was about a star, and you cut the apple up as you're telling the story, and when you're through, you hold it up, and the way you cut it, it makes a star on the inside of the apple. We keep that in our informational file. Those things that, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. I'm sure you've heard of that.
Oh,
That's in there. Christmas carols, certain ones are in there. My Old Kentucky Home. You would be surprised how many people don't know the words to that song. And they will come in and they will request those. Now, that's in our informational file. That can be checked out. Your periodicals, that can be checked out. Your videos can be checked out for 2 days, but there's no charge as long as they're not overdue. Your audiovisual equipment. Now let me explain on that. You have to be a church group or a club or something, but let's say that you're a member of the club, Rotary Club, and you have a program, but you don't have a slide projector. And the person that you asked that's giving your program says, Uhel, I need a slide projector. Well, you can call the library and reserve that slide projector overnight, but yet you can check that out and there's no charge. If you get a 16 millimeter projector, if you have a 16 millimeter film, for example, and you want to check it out, who has one? How can I rent one? You call the library. We have those for checkout only. If you have a film strip projector that you need, we have those. So we have several things that you can check out, and people out there may not be aware, and we really circulate this slide projector.
I don't think the public is aware of all of these things. That's one reason for this program tonight, is to make the public aware of the services that are available there. Now, you mentioned the church group, a church group there, and I wanted to get around to that. Do the churches use the library much?
We have, I've had several churches call up, for example, they would order a Christmas film or they would order a film for a special occasion, and they don't have a 16 millimeter projector. They would use that overnight only. They sure do. They might need a screen. We even check out a screen rather than show it against a wall. We even have a screen that you can check out and set up. You might have a slide projector, but you may not have a screen. So if you want it freestanding, then you call us. You can check it out overnight. There's no charge. You bring it in the next morning.
Jack, suppose you wanted to have a seminar or discussion on the various religions of the world. Are the materials there that you could use and come up with a good program?
Yes. Go to section 900 in the library, and that's philosophy and religion. There are ample books on all the religions of the world to make a program. I did a videotape for the library highlighting the various numbers that the books are filed under. 900 was philosophy and religion, and they have a good collection. I also, I think, should inject that I see a lot of people there doing genealogy studies, and that they have that, and I also see people bringing books in to have their material photographed, recorded on microfilm,
Right.
so that the genealogy is used. And of course, a lot of people in religion are extremely interested in genealogy, and they have this resource. So in addition to the religious elements, they have the genealogy section, which is important.
Well, supposedly the Mormon Church has probably got the best genealogy research department in the world. Have you got, through your library, have you got access to that?
I can give the patron the closest one, like there's one in Nashville. There's one in Bowling Green now, incidentally.
Oh.
But mainly at the, and I've been at the library now for 20 years, this coming year. But at one time, the Mormons went through the courthouse in this area, and they made microfilm of all of the files, marriages, deeds, whatever. One copy was given to the court, to the courthouse, and one copy was given to the public library. So we have on microfilm in our genealogical collection Barron County records from the time of conception till around 1953. Marriages going all the way back, the same thing that they have at the courthouse, and probably more, and I say it in this respect. I've talked to people at the courthouse, I've talked to other genealogical people, and a lot of people, if they find something in a courthouse and it's related to them, and it might be a one-page document, it tends to disappear. If it's on microfilm, it won't disappear unless the entire roll goes. So probably those things that are on microfilm have a greater, have more on them than a lot of times what they have at the courthouse now. But we do have that in our library.
Now, speaking of the microfilm, suppose somebody wanted to check the microfilm. Of course, they'd have to do it at the library. But can you make copies of what they would want?
Right. We have a printer reader. You go to the microfilm. If you want a particular page, then you push the button and it makes a copy of that particular page. We also have, and let me inject this, Glasgow Daily Times papers, or it used to be Weekly Times, from 1870 through about 1943 on microfilm. So that's interesting. We have the Kentucky Gazette, which was the first newspaper of Kentucky, out of Lexington, from 1798 to about 1845. We have that on microfilm.
You previously mentioned a summer reading program. Briefly tell us about that.
When a child gets out of school, from the period of time that they're out till the time that they go back, that's several months. In order to keep that child interested in reading, we have a summer reading program. What we do is we set it up for our story hour kids, those preschoolers, all the way through the 6th grade. And we reward those kids with prizes, a certificate saying completion. We also put their name in a box, so we draw for prizes, and we reward those if they finish so many books. That usually starts the 1st of July and lasts through the, 1st of June and lasts through the last of June.
But how many do you have?
Last year we had 752 kids signed up.
Is it growing year by year?
Yes, sir. And we not only do we have it for our library, we have it for our bookmobile. Anything available in that library is available on the bookmobile. In other words, all she has to do is come in.
So it's countywide?
Absolutely. We had 150, for example, signed up on the bookmobile.
But that's included in the 700 and some
yes,
odd that
right.
you mentioned a moment ago.
Right, and it really goes over well.
Now you mentioned of course, I think some of you were wondering how we were going to talk the library for an hour, and I told you wouldn't have much trouble, and we haven't had. There's several things we can still talk about, but there's one or two things I still want to get in here in the next 4 or 5 minutes. You talked about a building program and setting aside money for a building program.
Right.
I think the public needs to know why you need a building program, what it's going to cost, and what you're trying to do about it.
At the present time, we have a building fund. We've taken a little money each year and transferred it over, and thanks to the generosity of the patrons out there, the Gillian Estates, and also the John Winlock Estates, we have over $55,000 now in our building fund. That sounds like a lot of money, but under the new American Disabilities Handicap Act, it costs now to comply with a building with the disabilities $150 a square foot. That is empty shell. So consequently, we want to expand in the future. And so we have to set that money aside now. We have 59,900 and some odd books. I usually round it off and I say 60,000. We are out of room. Most libraries are. You have to expand. You have to keep the basics that are classics, whether that's in nonfiction or fiction, but at the same time you have to grow. You go out here and you take one of these trees that's growing and you put a container over it and it'll die. You've got to give it room to grow. And that's why that we need to, for those out there that don't know what to do with your money, for example, if you want a good cause, we would certainly appreciate taking us into consideration on our building fund.
Have you got room at the present location for the expansion that you need, and is the building of such type and construction that even if you've got the room, can you expand it to fulfill the needs in the future?
No. We could, yes, we could expand it, but due to the nature of the old building, as I said earlier, Dr. Weldon gave those buildings to the library, and under the new, there's so much restriction in there within these buildings that it would be more economical, believe it or not, with heating and all of the plumbing and stuff to start a new building.
Are there any possibilities or probabilities of matching grants?
Yes, that's what we're going for. Unless the government cuts it out, but it's usually a 66-33. As I understand it, they might go to 50-50. Whatever you come up with locally, then you put in through the Department of Library and Archives, and they take that in consideration. When was the last time you were renovated? And consequently, that's just a chance you have to take, but at least you do have a chance.
Well, you're certainly, or that is the library, and you and your staff are certainly rendering the public an excellent service now, but down the road, I can see from what you're saying here that you're going to need more funds, more support from the public in order to continue the type of service that you have been giving. I want to thank each and every one of you gentlemen for being here tonight and for presenting this program for the benefit of the public. Thank you and good evening.
I sure did.
There's some other things that I...
200.